Welcome back, Cincinnati. We took the holiday last week, so some of us could enjoy fireworks, while others of us could cuddle with dogs and curse them. This is the beauty of America. You can love and hate the same thing, and well, that is kind of how these draws feel. FC Cincinnati is tied against the best of the Eastern Conference, and, well, I don't know. How do you feel? Most of the time, if you had asked me before the match, I would have taken that point. But now, after it's played, and inspired, it's hard not to think about those missed chances, the unfortunate events, the questionable calls. And I look forward to talking to our other Cincinnati Soccer Talk crew so we can figure out how others in the fan base are feeling. Are you guys in the same boat? Let's have a conversation that last year Boston would shake his head at and say, dude, shut up and enjoy the ride. I'm going to bring in the crew really quickly this week because we have so much to get to. We have a guest from Philly to give us the lowdown on FCC's newest player. So each of you are only going to get one sentence to introduce yourself. Ken Hedger, we'll start with you. Say something wise.
It's great to be back. I'm done.
Nate Gilman, your time starts now.
He stole my line. Thrilled to be back, and let's get into it.
All right, Brian, keep us moving.
Don't tell me what to do.
And
no, I'm joking.
Used it.
I know I did. No, I'm going to feed off your positive energy because that's what we do. Yeah, the fans, the hosts, we feed off your energy just like the players do. So positivity. No booing this week.
We rushed through that because I want to get to your all bests and worst. Before we do that, let's say thank you to our friends at Suero X this week. Big sponsorship. We appreciate them, and we want you to run out and try this stuff because it is great. So RX, of course, being the sports drink you can now find at Jungle Gyms and other stores on the shelf. Many flavors. I think my favorite is the grape, so that's what I recommend. But they do have a new lemon lime. 0 sugar, 0 calories. It is a win-win. You can also buy it on their website. Use code CST22 for a 15% discount. All right, guys. Best and worst. FC Cincinnati plays at home against the top of the East, New York Red Bulls, in a very frustrating 1-1 draw. So I am very eager to hear how this is going to go. Bri?
Man, I feel like you're rushing me here, pal. Take a deep breath. Enjoy the ride. You never know how the last half of the season is going to go. No, I was pretty happy. I guess I'd say it's my best that we were able to hang on versus a very good team. I thought New York was the best team that I've seen this year. I think if they could get a number 9, a solid number 9, I think they'd be the team to beat in Major League Soccer. So to compete with them, to learn how to play versus those guys is very important. I thought Obi was very good again. I thought Barrial played very well. So there's a lot of positives in that match. And of course, looking back over these past 5 games, I think most of us would have said if we can get anywhere from 3 to 5 points, we'd be pretty happy in that stretch, considering it's like a murderer's row of top teams in the East. And we came out with 7 points, result in each of those 5 matches, going into a fun week again. So pretty happy about that. Worst, I don't know if this is bad or an apt comparison, but I just kind of wish we would learn how to beat these teams. And I kind of use this analogy on Twitter this past weekend is we look like a UK, sorry about that, but like a young, highly talented group of players that just aren't fully gelled together yet, playing a group of seasoned veterans. And you could see little issues here and there, guys playing out of position, still not used to each other yet. So I guess that's my worst of the week, but you could take that however you will.
Well, that's interesting. Interesting comparison. Ken, we'll go to your best and worst.
Yeah, I was gonna say on Brian's, it reminds me of that video game, and I can't think of the video game where it says finish him. It's that
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
Couldn't think of Mortal Kombat. Sorry, I'm getting old, man. But yeah, we can't finish him. But that's another story.
Finish him. Get over here.
Yeah. My best actually was I brought my son to the game, and he's not a big soccer fan, but he went out and bought his own kit, and we went out and we hung about around town, and he even commented, he's like, man, it's a happening place. It's like hopping in it. And that's my best, is the city is alive again with FCC. It's like there's a new breath within our area now where this is a place to go. TQL is a place to go. FCC is a team to see. People know it's fun again. So it's fun again. That's my best. My worst is really not so much a worst, but on those same light, in the same light of, we went into the game a little bit early, and I went to the team shop, and I was like, I'm going to buy me an Obi shirt. For some odd reason, I thought that the team had pre-made jerseys of like Acosta and Vasquez and Obi. This is a super miss, in my opinion. I think it's a negative. Why doesn't the team have some pre-made Acosta, Obi, Brenner? I mean, the kids want to go into. I sat there and said, kids want to go into the Reds game and the Bengals game, and they want a Joe Burrow shirt. They don't want to come back down and get number 9 pressed on and Burrow put on 2 weeks later. Have it there. I think they would sell a lot more. So I was just a little disappointed in that. That's minor complaint, but first world problem.
Not to invalidate your opinion here, buddy, but those are like worse dealing with like the past 3 years. Like we haven't had any soccer on field good stuff to talk about. Anything on the field, bud?
Oh, I just don't. We're going to get into it. So I don't. I have my things on the field. I just, hey, I'm trying to be positive Ken today.
Oh, shoot.
Well, Ken, I was trying to get a finish him graphic up in here time for you. Oh, there it is.
Nice.
Oh my God.
There's your Mortal Kombat graphic if you're watching live. We've got a couple best and worst that have popped in here. David Moore saying the best, getting points from top of the table teams. Worst, a certain former player living in people's heads rent-free. You can't be talking about our old boy Frankie Amaya.
Man. Wow, that's a shot. Holy cow, that's a shot. A certain former player in every. Oh my God, that's funny.
Best, Vasquez setting the club record for goals. Worst, players letting emotions get the better of them against Red Bulls. I'm going to touch on that a little bit later, Kevin, because I agree with you there. All right, Nate, before anybody steps on yours, let's go to you.
Well, I guess we didn't do the best job planning this out today. I think my best kind of builds on Brian's. And that's just, picking up points against some of the best teams in the East is a positive. It is like a good thing. We can complain about some refereeing decisions or some bad luck. But at the end of the day, they made it through a really difficult stretch in the schedule and are still in the playoffs and are still picking up points. And in a lot of cases are outplaying some of these teams that you'd expect to be Supporters Shield or Eastern Conference champion favorites. So that's, think about where we were a year ago. Absolutely, that's my best.
Nate, when I was on, sorry not to cut you off there, engaging on this, is like if you were on Twitter, social media all during this game, the first 30 minutes before the New York got on the board, I mean, literally, it was a meltdown of New York fans like, holy crap, we're losing to Cincinnati. They look really good. Why can't we play like them?
Yeah.
That was cool as hell to see.
Yeah. And, I think my worst kind of built off that. New York, the Red Bulls have a very specific style that they like to play. And it's, Pat Noonan touched on it in the post game. It's not the most free flowing, attacking, beautiful game style soccer. And FCC, just kind of got dragged down to that level at certain points. It got too chippy. And, it was, I'm sure we will have the refereeing conversation later. But, New York doesn't play a very fun style. And although FCC have some similarities in, how they want to press and how aggressive they want to be, we've seen how they're capable of really playing some attractive soccer and scoring some great goals. So my worst is, just kind of getting dragged down into the mud by the Red Bulls, who, are the best team in the league at playing that way.
So I actually want to follow up on that, and not to drag into our our game analysis, but you said we got dragged into it, and I sit there and go, did we get dragged into it, or did we play into it? Was there a move for Noonan to maybe realign the team to get out of some of that? And it's a debate that we can have maybe later on, because I sat there and I think I tweeted out, we need to push Acosta wide because they were just destroying him in the center of the pitch. So that was just a point where I'm like, did we get drug into it, or did we play right into their strength?
I don't know if you guys have noticed this as much this year, but I've paid attention a little bit to the New York Red Bulls, and their fans have been. We're not the first team to run into problems with them. Philly was complaining about this exact same thing recently. And then so have a couple other teams' fans. This has been a very common complaint on the online form. Red Bulls have always been a pressing team, but all of a sudden this year, they've really taken up take the press, then add being jerks and chippy and forcing teams out of their game. And no, like their coach is actually pushing this style. I actually, after watching them play, I'm not crazy impressed. They never had like too much. They didn't have any opportunities to score. They didn't have like a big threat we were super worried about. Their entire game was screw with Acosta, screw with Cruz, like just mess with these players' heads, get in there, frustrate them. Anytime you touch them back, they fall on the ground. Like it's a very chippy, jerky way to play soccer. It's annoying. No one likes watching it. Even the New York Red Bulls fans admit they're awful to watch, but it's how they're winning games. They're winning games by just messing with it. I don't know how long
they crush you. That's their game plan. They crush you. They don't let you have the time on the ball. That was the hardest thing after the 30 minutes after they went up. It was just like we got the word was rhythm. There was no rhythm. So
anybody else like kind of laugh about like how we are complaining about Ishhousery, and yet Lucho is the king of the dark arts at some of these even like Barrial is kind of playing into it at some points in the second half this past week.
We certainly have players that lean towards that style from time to time.
Lucho has a lot more style and flair going forward.
It is not the FC Cincinnati way though.
I think Lucho is, a net positive in that regard. Like the sauce far outweighs his like dark arts quotient. So he'll leave some extras in. He'll maybe catch somebody with an elbow somewhere, in the back or something. But he'll have like 3 or 4 nutmegs and try to hit a Rabona through ball, that leaves him in the positive there.
It's like Ken in the DC United highlight that we've seen all day with Wayne Rooney is the ball gets cleared to the other side. Rooney's tracking it down. The ref has his back turned and Lucho just takes out a dude with his leg and scores the goal. So, hey, we love him. I do love Lucho, by the way. I think the other twins, Lucho doubter, we'll call him.
Yeah. My worst is strictly just playing him. Like I don't look forward to the next one. I hope that FC Cincinnati can keep cooler heads, but they're just gonna do the same thing. And unless they get some reinforcements, I'm not super scared of their tech. I'm more scared of just them ruining soccer.
I mean, they're successful. There is talent in there. I think you can have doubts about Luquinhos and how much we hate Frankie and things like that, but they do a lot well. They're still tough to break down, and I think we are able to employ a style that is difficult for them to play against. Getting our how fast our attack moves. If we can get it past their midfield quickly, they're set up to be taken advantage of. So, except for Aaron Long and his goofy butt, but I think this will be. I cannot wait to play them again. I kind of taking the opposite view. I want to beat the crap out of them now. Like,
and we were talking about.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now we were talking about this too, and again, I don't know if this is on the rundown or not, but we're talking about rivalry week and everything, and we're going to play Columbus this weekend, and we play Nashville next weekend. But I think New York's at 13. That like we kind of circle like, I don't really like these guys much. Of course,
I want to be though, but they are.
I woke up. I was on Saturday night. I was like, On Saturday night, I was like, am I overreacting to this? Is my blood just up because of what we just had to watch?
Yes.
But then I woke up Sunday and I'm like, nah,
Really?
still not happy with the Red Bulls. And, they're up there on the list now. So yeah, I mean, where they fall, sure. But top 3 probably right now.
The other thing that's kind of frustrating to me is how both teams' fans are okay with the draw. And I get it from our view. It's a point against the league leader. So if I just tell you that FC Cincinnati got a point against the top of the East, you'd be like, okay. And they're saying, wow, they scored first and we somehow got out of there with a point. Now, I think towards the end of the match, they're a little frustrated that they couldn't do anything with a man advantage for the whole second half. So obviously that's a little bit more frustrating on their end. But most of their fans seem genuinely happy, at least judging from the online Discord, to walk away with a point. So it's
because that's a general rule of thumb. You get 3 at home and you walk away with 1 away, and you're happy. Even when you're playing the worst team, I say, you're happy, but you're content, I guess, as long as you get a point. I'll tell you what, though, as Brian brought up, getting 7 points out of the 5 games, starting out the 5-game stretch, I was like, heck yeah, get 7 points, 2 wins, a tie, 2 losses. Yep, take it, leave it.
Sure.
By the Red Bull game, it's like we let 2 slip away from NYCFC, and you felt like this game got away from us from a reference standpoint or whatever, and it was just like felt like drop points at the end of the 5. So now all of a sudden 7 points doesn't feel so great necessarily. I mean, you go back and you say it's 7 points, 7 points, 7 points, but I was just like, man, we should have gotten 9 at least. I was getting a little greedy, I guess, but that's how I felt.
The biggest headline coming into this weekend was Frankie Amaya, Wonder Kid, returns home to the team that promised him the world, and he had to leave. So, Ken, were you happy to see the once golden child hit the pitch again?
That's a hell of a question.
No. I don't know if he heard me. We'll go to you, Bri.
I was glad that our fans got to take their displeasure out on Frankie with the Frankie chants and all that stuff. I think there's a point to where that gets stale. I think after like the second or third time, like, okay, guys, I think we get it, but it's fun. I think it's all part of the shtick. We're here to have fun. We're scorned. So I like him to know that. So good on the Bailey for making that happen. I'm all for it.
It wasn't just the Bailey, right? Like the whole stadium.
See, Boston, I would have known that, but my son came down sick like 3 hours before kickoff. So
the Bailey takes a lot of heat, sometimes unnecessarily, because where I was sitting, it sounded like a lot of non-Bailey, like a lot of the time with the Mamaya booing.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll touch on the Bailey culture in a little bit, but yes, there's certainly more areas than the Bailey.
I will tell you,
it was very clear on TV.
Yes, it was.
You said it got kind of old. It did not get old from my seats. I was participating in minute 85.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Was it going that long? Oh, man.
The entire game. It never stopped.
Yeah, that's funny.
Now, granted, it wasn't always like TV worthy, but it definitely was occurring the entire match.
Yeah.
The funniest moments were when Frankie only had the ball for like a second. He did like one of these quick passes. So all of a sudden you just hear a lot of people like start the boo, like, whoa, oh, wait.
Were they booing or were they saying F you Frankie in the 85th minute?
No. Just the booing. The booing was all
okay.
good.
Gotcha. I thought you were saying the F you Frankie is that long. I'm like, holy cow.
No, that was only 2 or 3 moments.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, we do we have time to jump into PK before our guest
we got plenty
arrives?
of time. We got 10 minutes.
Cool.
Ken, are you all right over there, big guy? Yeah, he's there. All right.
Yeah, I'm here. My network's acting up. That's all.
Okay. That's a bummer. Let's talk about this penalty kick. Oh. It looked like a foul pretty close to the box line. I want to get your guys there. I'm not going to impartially weigh any of your opinions because some of you might think it's a a penalty. Some of you might not. But Ray Gaddis put his leg up and shielded the ball / player / I don't know. It was a weird play. You don't see a lot of those.
Not a penalty. You're fired, Boston. Bring
I
Siege
should
back.
say Ray Gaddis is just weird in general. So of course the play was weird. But where does this rank as far as penalty or not? Brian says it's not a penalty. I'm guessing a lot of you guys will go on that side of the.
I think Nate said it best. I think it's too close to call. But if it was the other way around, we'd be asking for it.
Yeah.
But if I'm trying to be objective, I just don't see you making that call. That's probably the real statement is penalty or not. I just don't think that's the call you make at that point in time.
It's a trash call.
I see Jeremy in here. He is just losing his mind.
It was trash. It was trash. That bozo had no freaking way you call it. Now it's one of those things where you call it. There's no way you can take it back because I don't think there's anything clear there unless the camera angles and unless you could have seen like the boot completely not touch the guy. But I think it was debatable if it was in the box. It literally, I think Coach had it on Talking Tactics. It's literally like one of those plays where you're kicking the ball and all of a sudden the guy just rams you. Like I said on our Slack, I'm like, I thought that was a foul on the New York guy at first. It was a sham. It's BS. Now, I'm sure a ref will come out there and tell me I'm wrong, but that was an absolute crime against FC Cincinnati for that PK to be called.
I think my problem up until that point is the series of events. And then to give a big play that really was the difference maker in that game. There were no goals after that on a 50-50 call. It's a little tough.
Dude, okay, so Jeb right here, 50-50 ball, no foul, 100%.
Yeah.
That's how I feel too, though.
The argument, yeah.
I thought it was a no call.
To me, the 50-50 argument is stronger than the where was he on the line argument.
Yeah. Of course, looking back, probably not a penalty. I still stand by, if we get that call on the other end, nobody's complaining about it. Nobody's like, oh, let's miss the penalty intentionally because there's been a miscarriage of justice here. But, I think it's tough to have those two home games back to back with some of the shenanigans that happened against NYCFC.
Refs.
And then, I think this will bring us into our next topic, either right now or after.
Yeah, keep going. We got 5
after the guest. Just about the refereeing. If these games, if like one happens in May and then one happens in August, I don't know if you quite get the crescendo in the stadium of everything that was happening, but having 2 home games in a row where you're on the short end of the refereeing decisions is tough. And, I was not there obviously. And I don't blame anybody for, seeing 2 games like that and getting pretty fired up about it.
To be fair, I can't remember what game it is for FCC. It was, I want to say it was in our first 5 or 6 games. Like we had like 1 or 2 PK calls that I thought were kind of in that same vein. You love them, but I'm just like, I look at that and I go, especially how ours happened, I feel like either the rule's incorrect or there needs to be a new application of that situation. Yeah. Almost like, block charge in basketball. Again, of course, this isn't basketball. I get that. But I just felt like it's something clearly wrong there. Now, when I saw Gaddis come in, I'm just like, what are you doing? Because he kind of like, you look like thought he was going to chest it, but I don't know.
Right now, the way I'm rationalizing it is, if we miss the playoffs by 2 points, we'll have had a super fun season of soccer to watch, which is something that has not happened before in MLS.
I like your point about back-to-back games, though. It is extra frustration. The guy next to me actually threw a water bottle, and he got totally Karen by the lady behind us for doing so, which was appropriate actually. But seriously,
did it make it to the field?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm in like the middle of the field. This is not some rowdy section, but that's how boiling tempers were, even in the non-Bailey or the club or whatever you want to call it. So people were hot, and I think it's a combination of the New York game plus this game plus
DC United getting a handball at the end called on us.
Yeah,
Penalty
dude.
kick.
Oh,
I mean, we haven't had something fall our way. It feels like, and I say maybe one call here, but it just seems like we've had 7 or 8 calls against us that just have not gone our way at all. So I think that's the sad part for us. That what makes us angry. But I do like what Nick just brought up. And
the whole encroachment.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. The penalty kick. Did you have that picture of Boston?
I didn't save it in here, but I tweeted it earlier so everybody would get a nice preview on Twitter.
Yeah, we're getting a little carried away here with this ref stuff, but I mean, I think if you look how everything went with Cruz, and yes, I think his second foul was a yellow. Now, should that have been awarded because he was on the yellow and that would lead to a red? I think some arguments to be had there, but overall, I don't think that the game needs to be called equal. I think that's a fallacy. I think that it needs to be, how do I say this? Maybe called consistently. Is that right? Like I don't need 5 fouls and 5 fouls. I just need the same foul to be called the same way the whole game. And that's what I get super pissed off about. And even like, a black at the beginning of the game, like that was a pretty rash foul. But then like Barrial gets, decleated in the 50th minute or 54th minute or whatever, and there's nothing. It's like, what the flying F? Now, yes, we got a couple makeup calls or whatever you want to call them back. But man, I get so frustrated. And again, I think, there's a couple the Kubo yell. I actually thought that was a pretty good call. Believe it or not, if you actually go look back and things like that. But I think he did do some good things, but just overall, it's super frustrating. And of course, I know during the game, people are booing. It's very tough. I know our coach Brad Goff. I would highly encourage you to listen to his talking tactics this week. He goes into in depth on why he felt that tweet was appropriate, and I think there's a lot of value to it. I think bringing energy the right way is very valuable with FC Cincinnati. I think you saw it at the end of the game, like across he got thrown out. He's a hot mess. But like, I mean, I really hope with him this week is like he channels his anger and energy the right way to come at Columbus. And I hope this team looks at this as a learning moment. Even the fans, like, okay, yeah, we give the ref shit. That's what we do. Sorry, gotta believe that. But we give them grief and everything. But at some point, like, we gotta get our guys up versus the opposite way when we're chipped. There's value to all this stuff. I mean, we're having fun. You can do everything. You can yell.
So, if we don't think Caleb Porter did not watch this game and say, foul the living snot out of every one of those guys, and they're going to lose their head, we're crazy, because that's what they're going to do in Columbus. I guarantee it. You're going to see like 4 hard fouls in the midfield area, just hard enough to not get red card.
So. Just from what I was watching on TV, but my overall impression coming away with it was, or after the game was, like I think the ref kind of got I think the second yellow was a yellow on Cruz and should have been a red, and by the letter of the law, probably Lucho deserved to get a red for maybe extending his forehead up towards Aaron Long. But
head on chin. Yeah, I agree. Letter of the law.
For a game that had like a yellow card in the first 90 seconds, the referee just never felt like he was in control of the match. Like everybody was leaving in afters in the midfield, and a lot of that's by design for New York, just to break up the game and make it a rock fight. But he just lost it, I think, and there was really nothing he could do to bounce back, and what we saw was the result of that.
Well, I don't want to leave our guest waiting too long, so we're going to switch gears, and then we'll come back because it's a good discussion. And Joe, I promise we are not that podcast that only talks about the referees. This has been a rough couple weeks for us in this regard. So most of the time, actually, we give the referees the benefit of the doubt, and we get yelled at by the listeners. So these 2 weeks, we've changed gears. So I hope you'll forgive us for that.
Oh, I spent plenty of time in the stadium here in Philadelphia at Subaru yelling at the referees just as bad. So I get it.
Well, we brought you on because FC Cincinnati has poached yet another Philadelphia Union player after stealing your coach, or not your head coach, but one of your coaches, and getting our general manager from Philadelphia and taking all of your players on your USL team, and now we're taking your players as an MLS team. I think Sergio makes number 8, if I counted correctly.
Really?
Yeah. If you count Jimmy McLaughlin and also like anyone that's played for the Union, we're up to.
Don't forget all those draft picks we sold
Antoine
you guys when you
Hopkins.
jumped
Oh,
up to
yeah.
MLS as well.
We can count those 5 draft picks.
I don't.
moly.
Most of those guys didn't play, so they don't count.
Well, that was an intro, Boston. Joe is, as a lot of you guys know, he's been on CST, but 3-4 times.
Something like that.
He was at our live show for the U.S. men's national team game. He lives in Philly. Joe and I did a podcast together prior to FCC, and then we broke up, called Watching MLS. He's one of my best friends out there and is an absolute ace when it comes to knowledge in this league. So let's start it off, Joe. What kind of player did we get with Sergio Santos?
So Santos physically is so much fun to watch. He has speed for days. He's a great type of player that you can bring on at the end of games when defenses are tired, and he will just run them ragged. His finishing is hot and cold. So there have been stretches where he's put up, I think it was 2 years ago, he put up 15, 13 goals, something like that. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the exact number. But then say like during the playoffs last year, he could not hit the side of a barn. If you go back and watch the games against really all 3 games, but specifically the Red Bulls in Nashville, he had some wide open chances that were harder to miss than make, and he found ways to do it. And so there was a lot of frustration with him at the end of last season.
Call that Zardes
but when he is in form, his physical gifts will let him be just a terror up top for an attack.
Now is of course we'll dive down a little more into Santos, but a lot of people kind of see like he hasn't been on the field that much this year. He's had injury issues in the past as well. What's the reason why he hasn't played much this year, and why Philly could move away from him?
So in the past, he has picked up a lot of like nagging injuries, missed a game here, missed a game there. Never something that kept him out a lot. The reason he's been off the field for Philly so far this year has actually nothing to do with injuries. He had to renew his green card, and he's been stuck down in South America for about a month. I think it started actually with the Philadelphia Union FC Cincinnati game in Philadelphia back last month. And so he has been dealing with that issue for, I think it was about 4 weeks. And that just finally got cleared up basically the same day he got traded to you guys. So that's why he hasn't been on the field for Philadelphia. It has nothing to do with injuries. As far as I know, he's perfectly healthy. He could probably step in and play this weekend. But that is why he has been off the field.
Okay. So I got a question actually, just based off of all this. Is you said he's got speed for days, but and you said he's a great guy to bring on, and when the defense is tired, do you not see him as a starter capable forward, like, to give 60, 70 minutes a game for 3-4 games in a row, or is he truly a super sub kind of guy?
No, he can absolutely be a starter depending on a team's depth. For you guys, with who you have in place, obviously Brendan Vasquez is going to get a ton of minutes. Brenner rounding into form. He's the type of guy that will be a great locker room presence and can come in, give some guidance. He's been in this league for a few years. He's Brazilian, same as Brenner, so I'm sure that will be useful in that locker room. And I think for you guys, if Brenner continues on the form he's currently on, his best role would be as that third forward super sub to come on and come in and fill that role in the last 30 minutes. But if, say, Brenner falls back off again, if your young guys aren't ready to quite take that step up, Don Baji finally looks like the guy who's almost 40 years old, there's absolutely no reason why he couldn't step in and be a starter and provide good minutes.
I did that thing MLS fans do when they sign a new player. You run and look at what the other team's fans are saying so that you can get kind of an idea of whether people appreciated him or not. It seemed like a lot of Philly fans enjoyed having him around. I saw a lot of comments about I'd rather let Burke go. Why did we have to do this? Which made you feel good as an FCC fan. How much of that is just he's a fan favorite versus is this really an okay move for Philly?
It's both. He is a fan favorite. He's a locker room favorite. If you looked on social media at some of the posts announcing the transfer, you actually saw guys like Kai Wagner and Brujo Martinez commenting with negative emojis about the fact that he was leaving the club. He's a big locker room guy, to the point where if you watched the Philadelphia Union DC United game, there was a moment towards the end of the game where Philly got a penalty kick and there were two guys on a hat trick, but Brujo tried to take the ball and kick the penalty kick, and word came out afterwards. The reason he was so adamant about doing that and he got so angry after that was because he had a message to Sergio Santos under his jersey and he wanted to score so he could show the message. So that's the type of locker room guy Santos is. He's loved on the team. I think I agree with the sentiment that if all things being equal, if we could have kept Santos and gotten rid of Burke, I think Santos is a better player. But there are contracts involved. There's timing involved. There's money involved. And all those things come into play.
I wrote a fairly in-depth, this is what he brings, looking at some of the data, and then kind of brainstormed, what could be in Chris Albright's mind, potential departures of Brenner and Vasquez. But really, for somebody who's watched him all the time, my biggest question is he fun?
Oh, he's incredibly fun.
This FC Cincinnati team, as you might have seen, I don't know how much you've watched other than the Philly game, definitely has some ability to do fun things in the final third, and I just want to know if he fits in.
Yeah, he's athletic. He has really great movement in the box. He can put himself into great positions. He's Brazilian, so he does not hesitate to try some tricks. So he's a lot of fun to watch, which is what makes, like I said, when he drops into that bad form like he was in during the playoffs last year, that's what makes it so frustrating, is because you watch him make these great runs. You watch him just torch defenders. He gets the ball and then hits it right at the goalkeeper, hits the post, somehow goes wide. But again, his finishing form can run hot and cold. I will say that. His effort level never drops. His athleticism never drops. So when he is running hot, he's fantastic.
Yeah, I saw some XG stats that he's substantially, I think it might have been your piece, Nate, substantially more deadly in that substitute role.
Yeah. Yeah. But as a starter, he's been perfectly fine. Not quite as good as what, we've gotten out of Brenner and Vasquez this year, but that is elite level striker play for both of them. But if he is the third option, which I think we all hope he will be, that neither Brenner nor Vasquez is leaving, I think he'll be a great third striker, change of pace guy, can give you a spot start on these short weeks, something like that.
I'm gonna have a dumb question for you, Joe. As you saw, Lucho Costa made a great play on Aaron Long's chin at the end of this past week. Is Santos a guy that can kind of play that withdrawn 9, or is he somebody that we want to keep up top and near goal at all times?
You're going to want to play him more as an advanced forward, running right along the back line, looking for balls over the top. That's going to be his best role. He's not necessarily the guy that's going to be creative with the ball at his feet as far as passing. He's a finisher when he can finish.
I appreciate you asking that. We actually got that question, direct messages to us on Twitter, Brian. I don't even know if you know that, but somebody wanted to know, hey, we really need a 10 this Wednesday because Acosta's got a red card. Can this new guy help us out? And spot on with that question. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott Wilson. Very nice.
Yeah. We play Philly in August at TQL Stadium. Is there any weird feelings going into that one? I asked because we just had our prized draft pick play against us, Frankie Maya with New York. So we didn't do well with that, but luckily it did not burn us at all. We scorched them. So
I don't think there would be any weird feelings on Philadelphia or Philadelphia fans. I think obviously the weird thing is, as I was going to joke, I'm thrilled to come on here and talk about Philadelphia Union West. A lot of the guys that you guys managed to grab were fan favorites, and it wasn't like they demanded to get out of Philadelphia. So, there's a lot of love for Santos. There's a lot of love for Gaddis. There's even, Powell wasn't around long, but he had some great moments for us. So, a lot of those guys, once the game starts, they're gonna get booed just like anybody else. But it's not like when Amaya came back to TQL. I watched that, and it's not like a situation where every time they're on the ball, they're gonna get booed and things and all that sort of stuff. So, unfortunately, I think when it came to Santos, it was a situation where it was the right time to move him. His contract comes up at the end of the year. And I don't think they were planning on re-signing him. They have some young guys in the pipeline. Not only did they just sign Chris Donovan, who is more of a depth piece, played college soccer here in Drexel, was drafted by Columbus, but then signed an MLS Next deal with Philadelphia Union 2. Even beyond him, they have two guys currently playing with Union 2 who are 18 and 17. They signed Jose Riasco out of South America to a Union 2 contract. He's only 18 years old, has a really high ceiling, was one of the top young players down in his league. I want to say Venezuela. Please don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure Venezuela. Last year, who's already getting minutes as a 17-year-old down there. And then they have Nelson Pierre, who's an academy product, who is only 17 years old, who has shown some really great flashes. And then you got, obviously, they just signed Ua, they just signed Carranza. And when you're getting $300 to $1 million in GAM, it's kind of hard to turn that down.
I don't know if we're running into it or not, but just for anybody who didn't watch a lot of the U20 CONCACAF qualifying, of any of the kind of young stars who are this next generation of the Union, who should we be looking out for? Who's your favorite?
It's an interesting question because there's so many, and the pipeline just keeps coming. I don't know how much you guys are paying attention to the next academy tournaments that just got done, but I think for the U18 level, the Union had the Golden Boot winner at that level too, in their academy system. So they just keep churning them out. Obviously, Paxton Aronson's a lot of fun to watch. He struggled to get minutes this year because he's playing behind Daniel Gazdag, who, especially to start the year, was very, very good. And also, Jim, I think, was slow to rely on a lot of these guys that went off to the U20 tournament because he knew they were going off to the U20 tournament. So I think you're going to see Aronson start getting a lot more minutes. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me because Carranza, as of now, can't play this week when they go down to Inter Miami. It wouldn't shock me if Jim broke back out the Christmas tree formation that he finished off last year with and put Paxton in the starting lineup. Sullivan and McGlynn are interesting because they're exact opposites of each other. Sullivan is athletic as all get out, but technically he's still coming along. He's still young. And also, his best position is probably as a winger. So in the Philadelphia formation, he usually will back up Bedoya on one end of the diamond, but he'll sometimes also play as like a second striker. So he doesn't have an exact fit. So but his athleticism and his ability to just run at guys is insane to watch.
You can trade him to Cincinnati and Pat Noonan will figure out how to make it work.
Yep.
Yeah, Joe, I just
have work, but it's just interesting because when you watch him play with the U20s, he was playing in one of those wing positions, and I think it was a real natural fit. So in here, it's like trying to make it fit, but his athleticism, he can play all over the place because he can run box to box and he can chase down balls, and he's really good at that. He's still working on the technical aspect. And then on the opposite side, you have McGlynn, who the kid's got ice in his veins and is technical as all get out. His left foot is insane. He's still working on the athleticism. So, those are the three guys that have seen the most minutes. Brandon Craig, first game back, just got his first minutes, and he's going to be the third center back now for the Union because they just announced that after think it's the New England Revolution game. Stuart Finley is going back over to England. So Craig is going to be, Jim said in his press conference this week, Craig's going to be the third center back. Not that guy gets a lot of minutes because Elliott and Glustis never leave the field. But yeah, so all 3 years, it's exciting. Everybody was really pumped. Jim made sure to put, or all four, excuse me. Jim made sure to put all of them into the game. It's the most subs he's ever used, which granted, when you're beating a team 7-0, you can go a little deeper on your bench. But he made sure that all of them made an appearance in the first game back with the Union.
Ken, you have a question? Oh,
I was just going to say, I was going to circle it back to the MLS squad, which you were saying, you don't feel bad, for your Philly people, and you don't have like a Frankie situation. How are you going to feel when Ray Gaddis buries one in the 93rd minute against Philadelphia and scores his first MLS goal?
That's the line to end that one on there, Ken. All right, Joe. Again, you're a wealth of knowledge out there. Please just let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, my Twitter handle is LJ Nomad. You'll find me tweeting about all sorts of things. I was doing some writing at the beginning of the season. Life got a little bit in the way, and then I realized I was having trouble catching all the games because I was at the Philadelphia games. So I've kind of paused that as I rework some plans with that. But you'll usually find me tweeting about a variety of things on Twitter. A lot of it soccer related.
Awesome.
Yep. Great to have you on, Joe. We appreciate you giving us the Sergio. Cincinnati's now got a try-headed attack with Vasquez, Brenner, and Santos. So we appreciate you coming on, and we will hope to talk to you again soon. Ken, if Ray Gaddis scores a goal, I will dye my head orange for a game because it's just not happening. I would love.
You heard it here first. I remember Brian saying he'd paint his body one time. I can't wait to see you with orange hair.
What? Wait, what? What did I do wrong? That
Remember
was
you
Brad.
paint-
That was
I was
Brad.
like, well, you painted your body.
We got pictures.
We got pictures.
Oh, geez.
All right. Who we missing Wednesday? We got all kinds of cards flying around.
We're missing Lucho Acosta. Lucho saw red in this past week. What do we call it? The headbutt? Chin bump, chinian? Is there a technical term for this, Boston?
I like it, but I don't know. Head chin?
I don't know. I like the bump chinian.
All right.
I mean, let's see. If Aaron Long was 6 foot and Lucho was 5'5", it'd be a chest bump situation. But there's just so awkward there. So now I get so mad. People are. This is okay. So I kind of had some issues with Lucho at the end of that match. You want him to be fiery. He's on 4 yellows, so his 5th yellow is going to be a suspension. So okay, you go into that situation long, you're gonna get a yellow. So I wish he would have known a little bit better there. But anytime, according to the FIFA rule book, that you pretty much touch a head, I think the term in the football term section for violent conduct is an action which is not a challenge for the ball, which uses attempts to use excessive force or brutality against an opponent, or when a player deliberately strikes someone on the head or face, unless the use of force is negligible, which it wasn't. So I think due to the rule of the law, I think that was a ejectionable offense. I just wish he had a little bit more presence of mind, and I think he was fired up. And then, of course, at the end of the game, at the press conference, he basically goes out there and trashes the ref, which he probably that's debatable.
I know, but were you guys holding your breath like, oh no, please let this not be another game suspension?
Well, I mean, it absolutely could be. I mean,
when do they normally announce additional punishment?
I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, MLS is weird on some of that because
especially with this short week.
Yeah, the weird ones where it's like a press conference type of thing that may come outside of the normal cycle of announcements.
Right. I don't think the press conference was like, at least from the quotes I read, I did not watch the video, but
so the quote, I mean,
it was just like he was just basically saying that he was unhappy with the refereeing, and
yeah, I'm more worried about the press conference than the foul.
I'm angry at the result. I'm angry at the way the game was officiated. It's the same stuff every time. The way the game is officiated. the way the game is officiated, and it feels like it's against us. Now, I might have the tone wrong there, but
So at the
he's coming out swinging.
I saw something. It was what Gerhard Struber said afterwards, and he was just like, "They're not protecting Luquinhos," which I thought was ironic after watching that game.
Hysterical.
But if Lucho is towing that line, it seems like Struber is too, and I guess he got
Yeah.
a yellow after the match too for confronting the match official.
Yes.
So I don't know.
Luquinhos got breathed on. He went down like a bag of rocks.
Acosta didn't leave the field right away. There's all kinds of iffies for me.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little disappointed that he just didn't have a little bit more presence of mind in the situation. I mean, I can't say much about this guy. He's done everything that we've asked for out of a captain. I think he's represented the club so well. So I'm going to give him a long leash on this one, right?
Sure,
I mean, I think
sure.
that's fair for everybody.
Yeah.
But it's just like, just
And
don't get
if
suspended for Columbus.
Right. Yes. Right. If Columbus wasn't looming, this would be maybe a different conversation.
Sure.
And I think he's probably in touch enough with, well, he seems like he's been an exemplary captain. I would assume he's in touch enough with like what's going on in the locker room that
Noonan
somebody
just let him
say
go
this in
out.
public, and it's going to be the captain, and he stepped up. And if it means an extra game, it sucks. But
If MLS is smart, they let him play. And
They
I
should let him play.
I say this from a marketing perspective, not necessarily from a you let your stars play. And I'm not saying you let them get away with murder, but that was what he's done has, it's within the realm of being fair. And I don't put that with rose-colored glasses. As we're saying, and it's been a rough couple games at home, and I think the league knows it. I mean, is it right for him to say it? Maybe not, but I just don't think you put your stars, you penalize them any longer than they should be. Zlatan was way over the realm of reasonability at points in time while he was in MLS, and he got like one game for something, and it was like, man, that should be
For skipping the draft, for
Well,
skipping the All-Star game.
he elbowed people in the head. He was violent on the field in certain ways. So I'm just saying he was boisterous to
Not
the
to that
refs.
extent,
But I'm just saying he was pretty outrageous at certain level. I'm making him sound probably worse than he was, but I'm just point being is the league knew he needs to be on the pitch to get eyes on the field. Lucho's that guy for us, and it's hell is real.
So who's
You
taking
market the shit. Sorry,
It's fine. Who's taking his spot on Wednesday night?
Brenner.
Brenner, Barrial, and who? Boston?
No, I thought Barrial. I was shocked to hear Brenner.
I think Santos plays. I wonder.
He starts?
I sit there and go, it's a question whether he can start. But man, go out with guns a-blazing on Caleb Porter. I don't care. I don't like that guy.
If
Wednesday.
Alan Cruz wasn't suspended as well, I would have said Yu Yakubo in that 10. Just let him go forward, because that's all he wants to do is root one straight ahead, and either he runs into a player or scores a goal.
I think on Wednesday you could get a change in formation again too. So you could get like more of a 4-2-3-1 with maybe the newly returned Calvin Harris and one of the
More of a
strikers
winger-
and Barrial.
Winger roles.
Yeah. And then I don't exactly know what you do in midfield. Obi and Kubo and maybe
Harris.
Yeah, it could be Harris.
Yeah, 3 guys in the midfield.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm super confused about how Noonan. I'm not. The funny thing is, it's Vancouver, so I feel like we could play a weaker lineup and get away with it.
And they also just had a huge injury to their newly signed DP defensive midfielder who has been very good.
I did not know that, so thanks for that information. That's
I'll
good.
just say this though, Vancouver's a decent team though. I
Yeah,
mean,
they are.
they're not
They're not
They're
last
not-
year.
they're not DC United as of this current moment. So I mean,
DC's a lot further away than Vancouver. though,
yes,
too.
that's what
Or,
I'm.
sorry, Vancouver's a lot further away than DC.
Oh well, you mean as far as travel?
Yeah.
I'm referring on the pitch itself, talent wise. Vancouver's a little bit more stable than DC United.
Yes.
For
So
the first time in a long time.
Yeah, but they still have to travel all the way here, and the West is a little bit tougher. So it'll be interesting just from an East-West perspective to see how they do. Then we have Nashville a week later, which will be another Western-Eastern test.
At home, baby.
Yeah. So the other thing we have to just bring up real quick for those listening, Acosta did not get a second yellow. So once he comes back, hopefully versus Columbus, we now have another problem, which is the very next card he gets, he is suspended again. So you want to try to, if you're Acosta, time that foul. Probably against Atlanta is your best bet. I'd hate to see him miss either Columbus or Nashville. So he can't get. I need a lot out of Acosta. I need him to come back and play Columbus and not get a card versus Columbus.
Bright side. We're gonna have a well-rested Lucho Acosta for the playoff run.
Yeah, he's gonna miss
the playoff run.
One way or another, he's missing 2 games because he's gonna get that yellow card eventually. So yeah, that's just another thing. We are all on Acosta yellow card watch as we head into the second half of the season. All right, Ken, we brought you on tonight because we wanted to get a little bit of info on the budget situation. A lot of people thought maybe FC Cincinnati was sending a striker out the door because this player seemed a little bit expensive for this year, and he fills a position that we seem already strong at. So what do you think Chris Albright and Pat Noonan are thinking here? Now it doesn't look like either striker's out the door. So,
I mean, I'll have a different take than probably everybody else, but I think it is depth. I think it's depth for the year. So, I mean, you gotta look at it from that aspect. Initially, it's a $300,000 transfer fee, basically, or we send in GAM, and we're paying $450,000 of whatever. So we've eaten $750,000 of our budget this year. We still have one spot open, and we have about $500,000 left. So we can still get a big guy, a decent player. Let's just use conspiracy theory thought process. Brandon Vasquez appears to be out of contract after this year, and there's a negotiation ploy, of whether we get him or not, and get him re-signed or not. If we do re-sign Brandon, Santos could be discarded in the offseason, and you save some of that $600,000 in additional GAM. Some, not all of it. There's some incentives involved, but so I mean, and if Vasquez says no, I'm not coming back, we have Santos. I think there is an option year for him. I'm not 100% sure, in which we can pick up, and that's a smart play by Albright to at least have that in his back pocket. I'm looking at it from that regard more so than even trading Brenner or moving Brenner. I just don't think we're moving Brenner at this point in time, and I don't think he's getting moved in the offseason either, to be honest, unless he's really boisterous about it. So too long did not read. We spent $700,000. We got $500,000. Still get a decent player, and there's some insurances in case Vasquez disappears in the offseason.
Kevin Michael says, when do we get a center back? Do we still have enough money for a center back?
Do we have enough money for Miazga?
Are we still believing in that?
Well, we only have to pay half his salary this year, so
yeah.
It depends, right? It depends on how desperate Chelsea is to get rid of over 21-year-old guys. I think he has a year left on his contract. If they're willing to, they would have to take a loss on him. And who knows how much he's making over there? But sure, why not? Still could happen, maybe, depending on what the fee is. That's the wild card.
And they're limited on how many loans they can do, right? So I mean,
yeah, I got a solution here for us guys. Okay, Gaga, Selena, or whatever's Gaga is getting signed by Chelsea, right? But he's going to be loaned back to Chicago. But he has to pass through the allocation process, right? So we'll just trade our spot for Matt Miazga, and we'll call it a day. Let's go. See, that's Brian Weigel math right there. We make things happen.
Yeah, the further time goes from any initial rumor, I always start to get more skeptical, for right or wrong. So I'm already getting ready to jump off this train as to is it's not happening. I might be the first one to jump off the train, and then
So-
that way, if it doesn't happen, I can claim I was first.
One note for people looking for center backs, and our guest referred to it, just that Philly has an outgoing center back who's English and never got time. Philly has like two of the best center backs in the league. One came from Sweden or Norway. He was in the Norwegian top flight, and he came for like a $700,000 transfer fee. And the other potentially all MLS guy was a 4th round pick out of West Virginia. So I'm going to choose to believe that Chris Albright was the guy who was in charge of finding the center back prospects. And I'll continue to, trust the process to throw a Phillyism out there.
Oh,
An Alan Koch-ism there, homie.
Oh, well, I
$5.
was thinking the Philadelphia 76ers rebuild, but
Whew, that's a dangerous term to be using,
Especially around me.
$5 in a swear jar.
Yes, it is.
If we
love
get a
you,
center
Nate.
back, there's no way we're fixing those left back, right back spots, right?
You just had to go piss me off, didn't you? Had to go poke my left back.
We only
What a
have we only can
Freaking
we only
guy.
patch so much.
I'm gonna slap you in the face on Wednesday now.
Brian
know, we
wants
can-
left back so bad.
Ruin my day.
You know what we
Everybody
can do,
listening.
Brian.
Hey, all I
we
gotta
can
say is I was
outscore people maybe.
wrong. Alvaro Barrial played very well, I thought, this week. I think he's learning the role as left wing back and to be his future role. I don't know that answer. I doubt it, but dude's learning and he's playing well. And the thing I want to point out a little bit to Barrial, I'm sorry to go off this tangent. Okay. So like with Joe Zhao, the dude would just peace out and leave acres of space next to his center back that could be exploited. Barrial really doesn't do that very well. He's very conscious of where he is, even when he's going forward to our detriment sometimes. But I at least want to point out that I feel like he's doing well on that front, and just look for that next match you see him out there.
It's amazing what a coach does.
Holy
I mean,
moly.
I mean, just you saying that, you sit there and you go, God, I want to bite my tongue saying this, but like you brought up Joe Zhao, would he have done better under Noonan? Because
Maybe.
it's amazing what Pat Noonan has done, and the entire coaching staff. I want to make sure I don't have Kenny Arena and can't think of the other big guy's name, but yeah,
Dom
what they've done with
Kinnear?
it. Yeah, Dom Kinnear, what they've all done to this team, it's amazing. So
Yeah, on that point, I think Barrial has a sense of purpose compared to previously. Previously, he just was like a maniac, just running and tackling and hitting people. And I
so
feel
was
like-
Lucho. So I
Yeah.
mean, everybody was
Yeah.
a maniac, sort of.
I mean,
There
I
was
liked
no
him because he was fast and he was ambitious, but now that ambition's directed.
Yep.
And I really appreciate that spot because we need somebody back there. And he's filling. I agree with you, Brian. He's filling it nicely. We don't have a lot of time to talk about Vancouver and Columbus. So what I'm just going to ask from you guys is what you are expecting point-wise this week. You got 6 points possible. And I just kind of want to we have a Growler Cup here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk, and all of the people that support this show, thanks for your support. Got the link today to bet essentially on whether Vancouver will be a win-loss or draw. But let's do 2 games. Let's see where you're. I won't even you don't have to tell me which is which. You just got to give me a point total.
4 points. And I think we draw versus Vancouver, and Lucho comes and absolutely torches Columbus. No Chucho or whatever his name is. Cucho or Chucho? How do you say that? Who cares?
Yeah, he got his first goal last game, didn't he?
That was pretty nice.
I when we had to redo our picks, I was hesitant to change from my prediction just because it didn't feel right, but I did say that FCC would finish 5th in the East. I'm going to say 6. So I don't need to even to specify which game. I think 2 wins.
Okay. Ken, how you feeling?
5.
5.
That's not even possible.
I know. I was just about to say, like, what?
Rupesh just called me drunk. I'm drinking an Athletic Company beer, my friend. So
no,
theoretically not
Nate
possible.
stole mine. I'm going all in. I'm going 6. I am going 6 because I do think Vancouver comes in. They do have tired legs. From traveling. I think Santos comes in and does admirable at least at the end. But I'm hoping he starts. I can drink the Kool-Aid a little bit, and I think we are fired up for Columbus, and I just don't see. I think Porter's going to try and do what New York Red Bulls did, and they can't do that. They just can't. It's not their system. They're not their style, and I think Brenner would eat them up if they do that. So I'm going 6. Screw it. Like I said, I'm on the Kool-Aid. What about you, Boston?
I'm going 4 as well, but I think 6 is very doable. These are both teams technically under FC Cincinnati in the table, and
Guys,
I've said over and over again that if Cincinnati is going to be a playoff team, they're going to need to win at home. And they drew top teams, but Vancouver is not a top team. So you have to get those 3 points at home. I know Acosta's out, but you still have to get 3 points at home. If we keep stumbling at TQL Stadium, especially against bottom table teams, we are not going to make the playoffs. Unfortunately,
can I say one thing?
Really tight.
Who we really need to ask is Dave Tangler, who is leading the Growler Cup with 23 points. He is killing everybody. Bob Ryan, you're doing well. You got 16 points, and there's 4 tied with 14. Rupesh, you're in there, yes.
what a plug. What a plug. That was just top shelf, Ken.
So Dave Tangler is the guy we need to ask how many points we're going to get.
Dave Tangler has predicted the actual result like 4 weeks in a row or something. He got a draw this week. I know I saw him go up 3 points. So if you are a betting person, if you hit the casinos, find Dave Tingler's Twitter account and ask him what the score is going to be, because dude is on a roll, a fiery roll.
Speaking of betting, Vegas has FC Cincinnati as the betting favorite, not a draw, not a loss, the actual, substantial favorite. For
7
Wednesday.
weeks in a row, he has picked the winning result, not the scores correctly, but he's picked
kidding
the
me?
result.
7?
Yep.
Wow.
And technically, he has a 33% chance every week.
Things were so much easier in the USL when I could just pick win.
Yeah. No, it's no
2-1 win. 2-1 win.
The Growler Cup is actually pretty interesting this year because you just have no idea.
I picked 4-2 win this week. That was way off.
All right, we need to end this show. We're a little bit over. Let's jump into your final thoughts, gents. Nate, you want to be first? You can really go anywhere with this.
Oh, man. I'm probably the worst person to ask here. As you can see on our rundown, I did not fill anything in. I'm going to stick to it. 6 points, next 2 games. Of course, as somebody said in the chat, dependent on Lucho Acosta's suspension. But this is fun, and I'm enjoying it every week. And I was a small part of me on Saturday night, as angry as I was in my very quiet apartment by myself when I was really angry at the result. A small part of me was just like, oh, this is nice. This is nice to be watching meaningful games, and long may it continue.
I was starting to worry for you there, buddy, the way that was going. Alone in your apartment, angry. Brian, can you cheer us all up now?
No. I guess I'm more just picking at people here, but I'm just tired of some BS going on online. I know people disagree on stuff, but just don't invalidate people straight off and then leave it hanging there like that ain't it or stuff. I saw this abuse that coach was taking, and there's some people that had a straight, honest discussion or argument with coach, and I respect the hell out of those people, and I get that too all the time on my tweets. If you want to have a good discussion, I'm all for it, but don't come at your guy or that ain't it or little stupid little things like that. We can be better than that, y'all. We're a family here. I mean, there's so many people in this chat here tonight that I never would have met 8-10 years ago, and you never know what impressions we're all going to have in time together. So just my request is, and I'm guilty of it too, I'm not perfect, but if we're going to have discussions, let's have honest discussions and not just trying to shit can people here, because I'm tired of some of this nonsense. So I apologize for that usage there, but come on, guys, this is supposed to be fun.
We don't even agree half the time, do we, Brian? I was a big boo
Dude.
bird.
I got my left back nonsense handed to me on Slack this week.
Oh man,
I got called stupid in that conversation. Somehow.
Yeah, but I spelled stupid with 5 like O's. I said you're stupid.
No, I agree. I've always been a peacemaker type as well when it comes to CST, not CST, but FC Cincinnati fans. It's we're a community, and I think everybody that really communicates and talks about this club loves the club so much. But that was just a frustrating game, so we all were frustrated. And I rage tweet sometimes after games. It's not a good idea. It is just not a good idea. But I've done it. Oh man,
we're all guilty of it. I think I saw Nate on here. I think him and I have had disagreements, and I can't say I was the most stand-up person out there. But let's just try to be better. That's all I got to say.
Oh. All right, Ken, you got anything for us?
Well, my solution to rage tweeting is just drink more. And I drink more when I'm watching an exciting game, and even if it's frustrating, I forget that I'm even wanting to tweet. So that's my suggestion. The solution. No, just kidding. No. As
doctor somewhere shaking their head.
Yes, the doctors. I've seen it in the chat a little bit. It's fun this year, and I said it with my opening little statement of the best thing. It's fun. It's enjoyable, and we are family all the way around, even when we disagree. So. Just enjoy it and have fun. I mean, Nate's having fun in his apartment by himself.
Jeez. He's got the best hat ever, by the way.
It's tough, man.
Nate's taking the abuse tonight. All right. We want to thank you for listening to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. That's my final thoughts. Thanks to all the supporters. I will get your name next week whenever we do not have a guest and talk way too long and go over limits. But we appreciate you guys. And if you want to support Cincinnati Soccer Talk and jump on that train with us, you can over on Patreon or on our website, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. We thanks to everybody that keeps CST running and the bills paid. And we thank you for listening. We had a good crowd here tonight online live. It was fun seeing your comments roll in as we chatted. And I am sure this week's podcast will probably be a big hit just thanks to the wild game that we have and the wild games that are coming with Hell is Real. I hope to see, I'm traveling to Columbus. I hope to see you guys there. If you are going to Columbus, hit me up. I'm going to be carpooling with some other fans. And I would love to see your faces. Stop me in the parking lot or wherever we're hanging out and tailgating. Say hi, and let's all have a blast out there together. See you next week.